can't do anything wrong. Magnus has a posture of, I've lost the tournament, you know.
He looks bored.
He looks bored, like, what's going on?
Oh, Sicilian.
Wow.
His opening is surely not boring.
Okay, no E5s and no forced draws. No.
We're going to see Sveshnikov?
Sveshnikov.
Yes. Did they already?
Whoa, bishop E2, no knight D5.
That's very rare.
In fact, that's so rare, I can't recall seeing it. When did you see bishop E2?
I've never seen it either. Should black just continue A6, B5 anyways?
Of course.
Looks
A6,
logical.
B5 with the threat of B4. Usually that would induce knight to D5. I suppose, okay, here you're allowing white the opportunity of playing knight C4 to E3 after the move bishop E6.
Right, so that's why we often start with B5.
Absolutely, but okay.
And you're right, that's been played.
Okay.
There's only one game in the database, so.
Only one game.
Yeah.
This is a real rarity.
Can black just equalize with D5? I think it's possible.
There's a knight B6, but yeah, that certainly seems challenging. As does the move knight D4, by the way. Tickling and teasing the bishop on E2.
Would you castle here or go bishop D3? Yeah, rook C8 is coming.
Yeah, bishop to D3. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not used to seeing this bishop
You already
E2
don't
move.
like this for white, right?
Yeah, I'm feeling not so good about Nodirbek's play, and there's an indication right there. He's played the move bishop E2. He invites rook C8, knight E3. I don't think white is worse necessarily.
Bishop E7.
But I think
I'm
any
starting to like
chances.
white now. I really like your rook C8 move, which hasn't been played yet.
Well, they're going to just transpose. Maybe they haven't. Maybe both players haven't played the most precise move order. But whether
now,
you play B5 or rook C8 or maybe even queen C7, maybe H6. I mean, I'm not afraid of F4. Please, I would welcome.
No, I'm not playing F4. I'm putting one of the knights on D5. In this case, if I'm moving with the C knight, I'll play C3 next move, kick your knight out. And it's like white has a Sveshnikov setup, but black has a Nodirbek setup.
Well, if I play knight takes D5, E takes D5, bishop to D7, and you play C3, everything is fine from black's perspective, except why is your knight on B5 and not on some square F6. Like E8?
Right.
You know, F6 would be a great square. Usually you have your knight on a bad square, but that's truly a bad square. So the idea is, if I have to go back to C6, I shouldn't be playing knight takes D5. But okay, what else can I do here? How else could I mix things up? I think we have
to go back, because knight on B5 would be so much worse.
It looks ridiculous, and I'm not getting trapped, am I? Knight takes, pawn takes,
maybe
bishop
I can start
D7.
with A4?
Yeah, I'm beginning to be a little bit worried that I do have G6.
But do you want that position?
No, I don't want that position, but at least I'm not losing a piece. Big moments here.
And Magnus in a bit of a trouble already.
Well, I want to say that Magnus is spending a lot of time.
Almost 2-minute difference on the clock.
If I have to make a, I was about to say.
He's taken bishop D5.
If I have to make room for the knight, I would be attracted to the move bishop D7, so I could go knight D6. Magnus surprised us all. He captured with the bishop. So his idea is, I presume, to play E4?
And it's been played, but I can just take on E4. Doesn't that win a pawn?
I like the way you're thinking. In fact, you should take the pawn. Bishop E2 would be a ridiculous move, which would justify Magnus's play. Magnus has sacrificed a pawn. He didn't like that knight on B5 position.
Does he have compensation here? Some maybe, but doesn't look like he has enough.
Why would he?
Only reason is that white bishop is not developed yet, and it will take some time. That's the only thing I see.
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking that the bishop is very good on f6. So I would, if I was in white shoes here, I would be thinking about c2, c3, just shutting it down on the eventuality that your bishop is going to get to f6.
Can also jump knight f5 now.
Knight f5 is a very good jump. I like that.
And after bishop f6, you can play something like queen f4 and attack d6.
By the way, knight f5 on the board. Yeah. Let me just refresh my board, pardon me. He is provoking bishop e5, but I was also...
Yeah, I think it's just a healthy extra pawn for Nodirbek. What
Absolutely.
A chance for him to defeat Magnus, who's been so dominant in the Blitz.
Exactly. If Nodirbek were to win this game, you know, he would go home and they'd say, "How did you do?" And the only thing he has to say is, "I beat Magnus."
I beat both current and former world champions. Yes.
A quick question: did
Queen
Magnus?
d6? Is that a second pawn?
That is pawn number 2. But I'm looking at.
Oh, he wants to play rook e2, I think.
So queen takes d6, rook e2. I mentioned I wanted to play c3.
And then I should have some knight d3. I should be able to get at least one pawn back.
Okay, but still, extra. Yeah, the material advantage, I'm not going to say is decisive,
taken on
but
d6.
I'm a pawn grubber. I mean, every fiber.
He didn't play rook e2. Knight e4. Got a question mark. So now just knight e3 exists. Maybe that's what he
Knight e3 is an excellent move. It covers c2, it covers d5, and after the move bishop d4, go ahead and give me your bishop.
Yeah.
And that's just a win.
I finish my development and stay with an extra pawn.
That's technically winning. Knight e3 looks simply excellent.
Nodirbek is playing all the best moves so far.
Awesome play.
a5, a4.
But that's the thing, Miro. One of his great is his resiliency. Magnus is oftentimes he beat Prague from a lost position. And
there was a game against Anish as well. There's many times Magnus was worse, but he didn't lose. So
guess what? There's an awkward threat suddenly is appeared. Knight b3. How
do I deal with that? I have to give something back.
I guess we have to go bishop d2. I think there was a glitch there for white. White was cruising. And
I mean, I see the eval bar, white is still cruising, but at least Magnus has some counterplay now, some chances. So after knight b3, maybe we can sacrifice
bishop takes b4.
That's what I'm thinking, but you're also taking the b2 pawn, and I'm not happy about that.
Exactly. It's one thing to lose an exchange and da-da-da-da, but
we can give up exchanges, but we're not giving up pawns.
Thank you. Now, whoa. Bishop takes b2. I was really expecting knight b3. Okay, Magnus has bishop c3 in his pocket, so bishop c3. I'm assuming rook to d1.
Maybe we can take and go rook c1. Is that too risky to leave the...
Knight d3, rook c2. I think that's reasonable as well. But the good thing about the knight on c5 is it is keeping a watchful eye on the passer.
But I also like white's knight on e3. It's so good at defending a d5 pawn, we never have to worry about it.
And don't forget, I emphasize this point, don't forget the knight on e3 is defended.
Did Magnus just blunder another pawn? Bishop takes b4?
What?
Bishop takes b4 is winning.
Magnus is, no, hold on. Bishop b4, knight b4, rook b2, knight d5. Not the rook ending that Magnus wanted.
And we're headed towards this. And by the way, an update, Wesley has won his game and Gukesh is in trouble. So people who are chasing Magnus, well, Gukesh is in second, right?
Yes.
And he's in trouble. Wesley was in fourth, I believe, and he's won his game, so he might jump back to the second place.
Okay, Miro,
wow, this is just winning for white.
you're experienced grandmaster here, but this passer on the A file is in a 4-rook ending is just too strong.
Should be decisive.
I think so. It's just simply too strong. You're going to go A7, Rook B7, Rook A1. It's what Victor Korchnoi would call the ABCs of chess.
Yeah. 93.
93, FE3.
If Magnus saves this, I mean, if anyone can save it, it's
he lives
Magnus,
a charm.
but
well,
this looks unsavable.
yeah, Rook to B7.
Just Rook B7.
But there's Rook B7. Yeah, that's the problem.
By the way, update. Gukesh, who was in with a draw. Is that the magic number for
Yeah,
It's
we'll see
close.
after this round. But yeah, Gukesh lost his game. But Magnus is not winning, so Magnus is going to go down in this game. Best case scenario, he draws.
Oh, very much so. I think it's just
I mean,
a
there's
dead
no-
win when your rook is behind
Yeah.
the passed pawn.
How could you possibly draw this?
So King F5,
Yeah,
E4.
I thought just go King F5 and push the E pawn, right?
Exactly.
that's it.
King F5, E4, E5, E6 plays itself.
Nodirbek has played a fantastic game.
Yes, but Magnus has helped him somehow play fantastic game by
Gave up too
forcing
many
him to
pawns.
play the only moves. Bishop
Yeah.
takes B4, for example, in that moment. There was no other choice. The move knight D3 was a very strange choice by Magnus.
King C7. Yeah, that's a last try. You try to go King B8 and free the rook.
Exactly.
King B8.
But White has advantage everywhere on the board. Rook
So now
Rook
rook to
B6?
B7, or
that
rook
needs to be
B6,
calculated.
rook B6,
Yes,
E5, then rook B7.
that should do it.
That's the way to play. Although, why did he
And
move
you go to
his
like
rook
D1
from
or
A1?
something.
Why did he move his rook from A1?
I think it was a good idea because Black Rook is getting active, so he's doing the same with his rook.
Now, Black only needs to get rid of his pawns and then, you know, sack the rook.
I like this H3,
I do too.
Rook B6.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's just going to start picking up pawns now.
Yeah, this
Clock
seems to
times,
be-
I see that they're moving
Around
very, very
25
quickly.
seconds for both of them.
But the position's just gone. It has been gone for some time.
Yeah, Rook H6 and... But Duda is about to win, I'm hearing, and there we go. Wow, Magnus, this is his only second loss in this whole event.
The first loss in the Blitz